Let's talk about diabetes and foods that are surprisingly friendly for people who have it. There are a lot of foods that get cut out of the diet that, well, maybe they can stay in there. Maybe if you have diabetes, you can still enjoy these. So, today, with a list of 10 surprising diabetes friendly foods, I have with me registered nurse and national board certified health and wellness coach from Full Circle Health Coaching. That is a health and wellness solution offering evidence based and culturally relevant services to improve the heart health of African American women. She is a friend of the exam room and an all around just amazing person. With that, we welcome Deitra Dennis to the exam room. Thank you so very much for being here.
And thank you for having me, Chuck. And I'm glad to be back.
I'm really glad that you're here too, because the list of foods that we're going to get into today, correct me if I'm wrong, these are the foods that a lot of people, when they're first diagnosed with diabetes, these are some that they get taken out right away.
Yes, yes. Conventionally, it is said that remove the sugars from your diet. And so I'm glad to be able to talk about how we can add the right type of sugars to the diet, right?
I like the way that you put that, the right type of sugar, because yes,
Yes,
yeah, one sugar does not fit all.
that's
So
right.
there are many kinds. So let's just jump right in here.
Mhm.
Number 10, I think that a lot of people are going to be excited to see this one: beans, peas, and lentils. Talk to me about these and the effect that they would have on someone with diabetes.
Yes, so really, all of the foods that are on the list are high in fiber. And we know that fiber is really good, for not just, for our digestive things, but it really helps with stabilizing the blood sugar. And beans are very high in fiber. So please add those to your plate in many ways. You can have it as a salad, you can have it cooked. And I love chickpeas that are roasted, very delicious.
Oh, that's right. Roasted chickpeas, they are so good. And by the way, you see
Mhm,
them in the store all the time. A lot of those have a lot of added oil to them, and so that's
mhm,
gonna up the fat content. But
mhm.
chickpeas are something that are really easy to roast in your oven at home.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
super easy.
Yes. Just toss them in some like soy sauce, low sodium soy sauce, or liquid aminos. Add your spices to it. Put them in the oven about 400 or 375 to 400, about 20 minutes. Delicious.
That's it. That's it. You
Yeah.
don't have to be a special kind of chef to be able to pull this one off. I mean, if
Oh
you're the
no.
kind of person that burns water in the kitchen, you can still roast some chickpeas.
Yes,
Trust
you
me.
can.
All right, number 9. Number
Mhm.
9 is one that I think is going to catch a lot of people off guard, especially if they're not yet familiar with the idea of eating a plant-based diet, because this is
Mhm.
one that I think when the doctor hands down that diagnosis, I mean, we were talking about taking these out right away. I mean, we're talking about preemptively taking fruit
Yes.
out of the diet. So
Yes. Yes.
what is the disconnect there?
Well, again, when you hear sugars, and I want to just clarify, so with the sugar are carbohydrates. The simple carbohydrates are the ones that we want to remove, and we want to add the complex carbohydrates, which our fruits have. And again, they have the fiber in them, and that prevents your blood sugars from spiking so high. It keeps them stable. So add some fruit to your diet, be it with breakfast, as a fruit salad or a smoothie, or even having fruit as your dessert, adding some spices to them, and you will be headed to the races, in your words, Chuck.
You just mentioned making a smoothie. Does that kind of up the glycemic index or increase the amount of sugar that would reach the bloodstream because it's already kind of broken down, or is
Right.
it better to stick with the whole fruit?
Well, best is eating it whole. But if you, want to use a smoothie, I would say just as when you're eating, take your time, give it 30 minutes, go slow with it, and it won't, cause such a spike with the blood sugar. But that's the advice I would say with eating, having the fruit as a smoothie. Add some green to it, your green leafy vegetables, some kale, spinach, collards to it, and that will help as well with reducing such a spike with the blood sugar or blood glucose with the fruit. But
Yeah,
yeah, I would say smoothies are okay. Just take your time,
you
go
know, I,
slow.
I've even added some black beans to a
Oh
fruit
yeah.
smoothie just to thicken it
Hmm.
up a little bit. So when you got the
Hmm.
banana and the black bean in there, like it is like drinking a really thick milkshake. But may sound a little bit crazy, but I'm telling you, you cannot taste the black bean,
No,
and even you can't taste the kale. Really, all you're going to be tasting is the sweet fruit, and that
right.
is a sweet treat that everybody likes. Last question on this: does this go for all kinds of fruit, or are there some that people still may want to be a little bit more cautious with?
Well, there are two that stand out, watermelon and pineapple. They are high on the glycemic index, and the glycemic index really kind of measures which food will cause the spike in the blood sugar. And so those two are on the high glycemic index because they're, more water and not as much fiber. So I would say limit them, the watermelon and the pineapple.
All right. You mentioned maybe having fruit for breakfast. Well, here's another one that's big at breakfast time. Bran cereals. Talk to us about and what we've been missing here in terms of the diabetes and bran connection.
Again, fiber. Fiber is key. I know many times when you hear plant-based, people always ask, where's the protein? Let's ask, where's the fiber? All 10 of the foods that we're talking about are very high in fiber. So your brand cereals, you want to look on the packaging, on the label, and look for where there is 3 grams or greater of fiber. And, again, that's going to help with reducing the spike in the blood sugars.
And you mentioned protein. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention also going back to number 10 on the list. You've
Oh, yeah.
got beans and lentils there. Both of those are just chock full of protein.
Yes, yes. Protein, fiber, a
Uh,
winning team.
and in all your time working in healthcare, I mean, have you ever seen anyone who has a protein deficiency?
No, I have not. And I've been a nurse 28 years. No.
There you go. Just wanted to ask. All right, let's switch gears now and go down to number 7, bread.
Mhm.
This is a big one for a lot of people. Bread,
Yeah,
obviously a staple in so many
yeah.
of our diets, but here you have
Mhm.
two specifically that you're recommending in pumpernickel and rye.
hmm Yeah, so when you look at the information that's on PCRM, or the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, when you look at the prescription for type 2 diabetes, that is on the list when we're talking about the whole grains. And these two breads in particular don't cause such a spike in the blood sugar. And I know sometimes we, may reference having whole wheat bread, but really these two right here really do not have that spike like the other breads do. So give it a try. It may or may not be your thing, but just try it and see. Have some toast, um, and try it. Just try it. Don't
Talk
knock
to
it till
me.
you try it.
No, I mean, there's
Mhm.
nothing. I mean, nothing like a good piece of pumpernickel or rye bread. I mean, you can do
Mhm.
some amazing sandwiches on some rye bread. I mean, just
Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm.
Talk to me about the difference between the way your body absorbs these two breads versus when you eat that white kind of Wonder Bread. That was the big one for
Yes.
us growing up.
Well, when you think about a whole grain, the whole grain has 3 components to it. It has the germ, endosperm, and bran. And so what happens with the white bread, it's been stripped of the bran, which has the fiber, and of the germ that has, many of your vitamins and minerals, and it's left with the endosperm that is very high in carbohydrates. Have some nutrients in it, but the bran and the germ has most of it. And so when it's stripped, you're getting those spikes in your blood sugar, or your blood glucose. So that's the difference, because when you have all 3 components, you're getting the fiber, you're getting the protein, you're getting all that you need. One, to keep you regular, your digestive system regular, but again, preventing those spikes in blood sugar. And so, as I mentioned with the fiber, is helping with weight loss, because things are moving along, if you will. And so I know, I know every time people ask about protein, I think we should give fiber just as much attention as many people ask about the protein.
And I feel like we should have some like pro fiber t-shirts printed up or something.
Yes, yes, yes,
As much as they get talked about in this community.
yes.
Okay, so we just talked about bread, but then a lot of people they love them a good old-fashioned spaghetti dinner. They think that that
Mhm,
too is out the window, but you're saying,
mhm.
well, now wait, not so fast. Whole wheat pasta is surprisingly friendly if you have diabetes.
Yes. The thing again, fiber. And for those that may have gluten intolerance, there are some great brands out there that are made from beans or vegetables, and so those are just as great for you, to add to your plate. The whole wheat pasta. And listen, you can have pasta all types of ways. A one pot meal, you can bake it. It's just many things that you can do with the whole wheat pasta. So add that back to your plate if you have taken it off.
I'm excited we've reached the top 5. And there are some humdingers on here, Deitra. There are some really
Hmm.
good ones. Let's start by going back to the breakfast table in the
Yes.
morning. Here we go.
Hmm.
Oats. Gotta have oats. Talk to me about the effect that they would have on someone's blood sugar if they're living with diabetes.
Yes. So the same thing here with the oats. So much fiber. And Chuck, for me with oats, I don't really like it cooked. I like it in my smoothie. So that again helps with adding a little sweetness to that smoothie. The fiber, as I mentioned before. And so it's the soluble fiber. So it attaches to um, I know we're talking more about diabetes here, but if you have any excess hormones in your body, if you have excess estrogen, the fiber attaches to that and removes the excess from your body. So again, we're preventing a lot of chronic diseases by adding the oats to our plate as well.
You keep mentioning smoothies. I feel like we need to put a recipe out there. Like, so my favorite with oats, it's a really easy one to make. It's
Hmm.
frozen strawberries,
Hmm.
frozen bananas,
Hmm.
almond milk, and oats, and you just put that together, and it comes out kind of like a strawberry milkshake, and it's just a little
Yes,
bit thicker. And the oats give it a nice, uh, I guess, heartier flavor. I don't know how
it
else to
does.
describe it,
It
but it's really
does.
good
It does. And if you don't mind me sharing my
for sure.
recipe for my smoothie in the morning. So I usually either it's kale or spinach. And then I have the mixed berries. I usually put mixed berries with mine, oats, and it's the dried oats. And I like to add spices to mine. So I add a little cinnamon and then I add turmeric as well as ginger in there. A lovely combination.
That
And
does
I
sound
usually
wonderful.
use water. Sometimes I use milk, but a lot of times I use the water for that. So yeah, that to me is a delicious smoothie.
I picked up that you're on team turmeric. Yeah, that's always a hot debate on the exam room. Is it turmeric or is it turmeric? And
Oh,
so,
or turmeric. Some people say turmeric. So
oh,
hey,
turmeric.
tomato, tomato.
Turmeric. Who knew? Okay, here's oh man, this is good because it goes with so many dishes.
Oh
Brown
yeah.
rice.
Hmm.
This has to be a night and day difference with white rice, kind of in the same way that
Yeah.
pumpernickel and rye were with white
Yes.
bread, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's the same principle. It has all of the components or parts of a whole grain or a wheat. So you have like I mentioned before, the endosperm, the germ, and the bran that gives you the fiber. Now, I will tell you a little difference with brown rice than cooking white rice. It takes a little longer to cook. So it takes normally about 45 minutes to prepare the brown rice. But again, it's worth having that. And I know sometimes people just don't like the texture of it because it's different from white rice. But if start off with toasting the rice first, it really adds the nuttiness to it. The flavor, number one, is good. And then when it is done cooking, it's separate, just how, you're used to your white rice being. And one key thing, with a cooking tip here is that once your rice has cooked for that 45 minutes, let it sit there for 10 minutes covered And that will allow, all of the flavors, everything that you've added in there before to come out, and you fluff it, it will be just like your white rice. So that's a cooking tip for you with the brown rice.
And it's not just nutrition knowledge that you're gaining here. We are giving you pro tips for the kitchen. This is awesome.
Yes.
I love it so much. The curveball here. I've been eating a
Mhm.
lot of wild rice recently as well.
Mhm.
Would that kind of fall under the same category as
Yes.
brown rice here?
Yes, 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 indeed. Yeah,
Awesome.
mix it up.
Yeah.
Just mix it up. Try different types of brown rice, like jasmine rice, basmati rice, because they have such a different flavor. Each one of them have a different flavor profile. So go ahead, have your
Yes.
brown rice.
Go ahead. Good advice. Here we go. All right, top three time. And this next one is something that you and I were talking about before we started rolling. And both
Mhm.
of us look forward to summertime just because
Oh
what's on the
yes,
menu?
corn.
Corn. Talk to
Yes.
me about corn.
And you know what? Corn is a whole grain. And so, as we were talking about in July, when it's in season, oh, it's so delicious. And again, when you're eating it in season, you're getting all the nutrients, but the flavor is just unbelievable. I mean, you really you can just cut it off the cob and eat it as a salad. Mix it with some beans and maybe mix it with quinoa. That is a wonderful salad for you to have, or just eat it off the cob is
Mhm.
delicious. And you won't need butter because the flavor by itself, just the corn, I mean, it's just delicious.
I mean, if you've never had fresh corn, I mean, it
Hmm.
is just one of the more incredible things you will ever eat in your life. And this is why I encourage people, if there is a farmer's market in your
Yes.
community, if you go
Hmm.
to that and you buy only one thing,
Hmm.
try the corn first. Make sure
Yes.
that that's
Yes.
number one. You bring that home and you
Hmm.
shuck it yourself, and then
Yes.
you just cook it up, man. And it is
Hmm.
so good. It is so
I
so
think we're
good.
doing some Southern reminiscing about our Southern upbringing, huh?
What can I say? What can I say? What's up,
I know.
757? Hi,
I
Virginia. I love you.
know. I know.
Okay. Boy, you want to talk about sweet corn? Let's shift that now over to another Southern favorite, sweet potatoes.
Mm,
Yes, ma'am.
mm,
Now, it is not
mm.
lost on me that we have sweet in this title, and yet it is a friendly food for people with diabetes.
Yes, it is. So again, the fiber, it has the beta carotene in there, which is also, I know we're talking about diabetes, but when you think of beta carotene, it also is an immune booster by having those carotenoids, those orange types of fruit and vegetables added to your diet. It also improves your immune. So, don't clutch your pearls about the potatoes. You can have the potato because it stabilizes the blood sugar because it has the fiber in there.
I have not heard that term before on this show or anywhere else. Don't clutch your pearls. I love that. That is clutch right there. Fantastic. Is that a southern
It
saying?
is. It is.
Okay. How
I'm
did
a Southern girl at
I
heart.
know. I'm like ashamed of myself. I'm letting my southern people down here. Dag on it. I've let you down for almost 40 years, my friends. I'm so sorry. All right, let's take it home. Number one, and this one,
Mhm.
honest to goodness, was surprising that this was number one on the list that you created here today. We just
Yeah.
talked about sweet potatoes, but what's
Mhm.
number one? Regular
I
potatoes.
know that's another pearl clutcher. Potato.
Yeah.
The potatoes. And I know you've had Dr. Rahman on talking about this as well. And on the glycemic index, it is higher glycemic index, but I know with having the fiber in there, it really doesn't impact the blood sugar spikes as we had thought. After much research, it is showing that it's okay to have the potato. Now, let's just say the potato in its whole state, okay, not fried as French fries. Not that. We want a baked potato is great, roasted, dice them and have them roasted. Have them that way, not French fries, okay?
Let me tell you something. Like if you dice up your potatoes or you even slice them and you just kind of roast them or bake them in your oven,
Hmm.
just as good as a French fry. And in
It
a
is.
lot of ways, it's even more flavorful because you
It
can
is.
actually taste the potato and not
Right.
all of the grease and the
The
salt that
fat.
would
Hmm.
come with it at the
Yeah.
drive-through.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. So this goes, I'm assuming, for your regular white potatoes, your russets, but then what about like red skin potatoes? Would that fall under the same category as well?
Yes, the red skin. Now, I would say if you were rating the glycemic index, the russet will have a little more higher on the glycemic index, and the red potatoes are lower on the glycemic index. So, if you're really wanting to watch that, I would say your red potatoes are the go-to. And you can do the same thing. You can roast them, bake them, and cut them up just like you mentioned, Chuck. You can have it as a breakfast hash, with potatoes and add some onions and bell peppers. Very delicious. That can be for lunch or dinner. Any meal. Potatoes are good for you.
And that's another one of those foods also, Deitra, that is really easy to cook. If you're
Oh
just
yeah.
starting out, it's so simple to bake a potato or to
Mm-hmm.
roast a potato. Again,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to have gone to a full-blown cooking academy to know how
No.
to do this, you know?
Mm-mm.
It's really to easy to get going on that. And I think
Yeah.
that that's something that a lot of people are probably going to take solace in, one, as they get going on healthier eating, but two,
Yes.
the fact that, hey, maybe somebody's had diabetes for so many years and they haven't
Mm-hmm.
been able to eat these potatoes, the bran cereal, the
Mm-hmm.
bread for so long. And
Mm-hmm.
now here we are saying, well, yeah, you can do this, because
Yes.
of fiber that comes with it.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that fiber just seems to be the magical nutrient that makes things happen.
It does. It does. It really does. And I just want to share, as we have given cooking tips with the baked potato as well as the sweet potato with baking. You preheat your oven to 400. You don't need oil or butter or anything like that. Put them in the oven. 45 minutes for your sweet potato and maybe 30 to 40 minutes for your regular potato. That is done. And that helps you with your meal planning and meal prepping. You could just put, however many you want to have throughout the week. Go ahead and bake them, and then you can just warm them throughout the week. Add what you want, add some chili to it, add some salsa to it one day so you can have it plain and then dress it up.
Pro tips, pro tips. And so here's the thing. One of the things that I've eaten recently is sauteed kale with
Mm-hmm.
black beans, and then I'll actually throw some salsa on top of that. And
Mm-hmm.
then that will be the topping for a sweet potato.
Yes.
And it is just amazing. Real quick, a
Mm-hmm.
caveat here before we wrap things up.
Yes.
Coming from the South, you and
Mm-hmm.
I both know that a sweet potato oftentimes is not thought of as being sweet enough. So people will take a whole jar of Karo syrup and
Mm-hmm.
just pour that on the sweet potatoes. And then they'll take a
Mm-hmm.
handful of marshmallows and boom,
On
throw
the
that on
top.
top of
Yes.
them as well. And then
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
roast that. So what then would happen to someone's blood sugar if they were to eat that as opposed to just the plain old sweet potato?
Well, of course, it will spike that blood sugar up very high. But the sweet potatoes, if you really, I know I talked about in season, the flavor is just there. But at any time, if you roast that sweet potato, any food that you roast, the natural flavors in that food will just come alive when you roast them. So try it without adding all of the extra to it. Allow your palate to enjoy the potato in its natural form, and you will love it. I mean, really, if you were to just bake that sweet potato, it is so good without adding anything else to it. And my mom, I'm going to tell you, my mom is 84 years old. And as long as I can remember, she bakes a sweet potato every day. And that's what she has every day, a baked sweet potato. And she adds nothing to it.
Mama knows best too. Mama
Yes.
knows. I'm telling you. And I'll tell you, one of the things I've been doing is putting the sweet potatoes in the air fryer and then baking them there. It does not get any easier than that. You just
Yeah.
wash it and you literally throw it in the basket. And I'll do like
Hmm.
25 minutes at 375 on one side and then flip it
Flip
and
it.
do like
Hmm.
another 15 minutes and call it good. And it comes out perfectly.
Yes.
And it's so
Yes.
tender and it's so,
Yes.
so good.
And the
Just like you
aroma
said.
in the house when you're
Ooh.
baking that sweet potato, I mean, it's nothing like it.
So much better. The
Hmm.
house is so sweet. My wife loves
Yes.
it when I cook sweet potatoes. Can't say
Hmm.
the same with Brussels sprouts though. Um,
Well, we'll talk offline on some tips on getting some good Brussels sprouts. or
Okay,
the
okay,
flavor.
real
Mhm.
talk. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so here's the deal.
Yes.
You who are watching this right now have the opportunity to learn a whole heck of a lot more because Deitra, you are teaming up with the Physicians Committee to help with our new Fight Diabetes with Food
Yes.
program. Talk to us a little bit about this series.
Yes, so this is a very new series. It's 8 weeks in length. And so my special co-host and I is Dr. Vanita Rahman, Dr. Carolyn Trapp, and registered dietitian Jennifer Paul. We all are coming together to help you improve your blood sugar. So if you have a diagnosis of diabetes or pre-diabetes, we want to give you the tools to help you be successful in improving your blood glucose control. So we start on Tuesday, September 7th. It's from 3 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And we look forward to you coming to spend that time with us. And some of the things that we'll talk about is grocery shopping, meal prepping, and how to do this out and about, socially. Because, if you're going to a restaurant, how can you still have those foods that we talked about on the top 10 list and making sure that you're getting that fiber in? And then, as well, both of the physicians will talk about how to manage medications if you're on medication. So, many great things. We're going to have great guest panelists that are there. And once you register, you will receive a Fight Diabetes with Food e-cookbook. So many more recipes that you can enjoy by registering. So yes. So we will be live again starting Tuesday, September 7th, 3 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern.
And you can log on to pcrm.org to register or click the link that's in the show description or in the episode notes. And I just want to stress that this is a free class series.
Yes.
So this doesn't cost you anything other than an hour of your time every week. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the way, Deitra, that this is really lined up so well. This
Mm-hmm.
weekly class schedule, each of the 8 weeks has a different theme. So you really
Yes.
do kind of walk people through A to Z here. And I just think that it's going to be so clutch. And number 6, how
Mm-hmm.
often do you get asked about this? How do I do this healthy eating thing when I'm eating out? That
Mm-hmm.
is such a stumbling block for so many people.
Yes.
I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
that this made the cut.
Yes. And I mean, we're going to be sharing a whole lot of tips with that, but just, really having the tools to help you be successful when you're eating out or if you're ordering in. Either way, how to do that successfully.
There it is. So pcrm.org or click the link in the show description or in the episode notes. And
Mhm.
you can get in contact with Deitra right now. Log on to our website, Full Circle Health Coaching LLC. Book an appointment with her. Get in touch. She knows what she's talking about. Maybe I'm assuming that there are at least 10 other foods that we could have put on this list
Yes.
today. So you
Yes,
can hit people
indeed.
with even more knowledge and cooking tips.
Yes.
Deitra Dennis, thank you so very much for your time. This has been a real treat.
Thank you, Chuck.
If your health IQ is a couple of points higher than it was a few minutes ago, go ahead and like this video or subscribe to the YouTube channel. And to take it even higher, head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you get your favorite shows. Look for The Exam Room by the Physicians Committee. Hit the subscribe button there as well and help to make your world a healthier place.